when we first got together, we obviously we lived in what was common between us.
Yeah.
So we sort of used to do things together. We used to like go cinema, we used to go parties and all that type of stuff. And I was actually quite Western, so it didn't actually make much of a difference. But then when we got married and we pulled in our sort of family backgrounds, our family traditions, that's when we began to hit sort of tensions, didn't we? I think my background was quite traditional in terms of a West Indian background. It was quite religious, and both my parents worked a lot. My older sister helped to look after us. My mum naturally was very hospitable. We had people in and out of our house for a lot of my sort of upbringing. We didn't really use diaries or things like that. People would just come and go, and there was sort of quite open access, which was different for you, I think.
It was a massive difference, actually, wasn't it? Our backgrounds. My mum didn't work, but it wasn't sort of the working issue, it was how the home ran. Because my mum was ordered, you know, when we were going out, she used to like to know the day before if Owen was coming tea for the next day. But his mum, he could turn up with 5, 6 friends and there'd be enough food, because they did rice, they'd just share around. And so that was quite a tension in our marriage, first of all, because he was forever wanting to invite people at the drop of the hat, and I'm like, no, I've got enough food.
My family would turn up to our house at any point, yeah? There wouldn't be notice. We didn't have, it wasn't a diary thing. My dad would expect to be able to phone at 7 a.m. or 10 p.m. and it wouldn't be a problem. My mum would turn up with bread and cake and stuff. You struggled with that a little bit.
There seemed to be, I grew up with more sort of unspoken boundaries, I would say, whereas there seemed to be no boundaries in your family. There seemed to be. There wasn't any. There seemed to be. And I remember that one night when it was late and we'd gone to bed, so we heard this knock on the door and I'm thinking, gosh, who's that, you know? But anyway, we didn't answer it because we were in bed. And our bedroom window was on the side. And then there was this tapping on the window. I'm like, what's going on? I'm thinking something serious is happening. He gets out, opens the door, and it's his mum coming with a bit of cake. I'm like, you know, for my family, if the lights were off, the curtains were drawn, you know, you wouldn't even go and knock on the door.
One of the things that we had to do, which was a bit of a challenge, but we got there in the end, was to compromise in terms of, say, when my dad would call and things like that. And that took some educating and talking to him, and it took us talking to get to a place where we could find a happy medium, where my dad wouldn't be, if you like, offended if I didn't answer the phone or something like that, and we had to sort of work through that one. I mean, if I'm thinking about people who are in a sort of similar situation where maybe they've got married and they're from different backgrounds, I think the appreciation of the other culture is vital, and you don't need to understand everything about it. You just need to accept that that's a valid way of being. Don't
you find, though, understanding brings about appreciation, though? Because it wasn't until I understood some stuff that I appreciated it. Yeah. So, for example, timekeeping, that was a massive value in my household. If you were late, you were being disrespectful and rude. Whereas his family were always late, basically, weren't they? And still are, some of them. But I think what I learnt there was they valued people a lot more than time. And so if they'd seen a friend and they were chatting, you know, they weren't being lazy and disrespectful and rude, but just not bothering to turn up. They were engaged in something they considered important. Whereas I think from my background, you know, you would cut off everything. I've got to be there at 2, you know, see you later. And so understanding that helped me view it from a different perspective, which meant I was less judgmental. I
think also talking helps, and also the commitment to the relationship, which means that you will work through those things and that those things don't become deal breakers. That helps.